Good morning, folks. We are talking about a fire sale. Whoa, so we are talking about a fire sale. Notice my graphic there is a little behind, and I probably had that in one of my other videos. So that I just recorded a video this morning, and that is going to be so old, and I'm known we'll get called out on that. So yeah, go ahead and call me out. I'm probably just reminding you of our last win that we had. But folks, yeah. Commander's fire sale. But who's buying? And who's buying that we're actually going to trade away and start cleaning out all of our good players and blowing it all up now? Honestly, this is something that I think after a while, us fans who are just so tired of the same stuff all the time, right? I mean, the losing, the high expectations, and then all of a sudden, it's like it's the same story. We've heard the same story. We've seen it. We've seen this movie, and, it's like, why is it that every single time that every season there's these high expectations and they get crushed, right? I mean, all of you guys, you're with me when you're talking about this, right? And you're saying, I am with you. I am feeling just as, horrible about this and frustrated. Sorry. Watching myself. I'm shutting myself up because I am trying to also bring in my chats right now. I'm trying to figure out how to bring my chats back into OBS. Anyway, so I just, now we're all starting to talk about blowing it all up, right? Because we're getting into the midway point of the season. And yes, we're forgetting that we have 10 games left to go. And anything can happen in 10 games. We could win out the rest of the 10 games and we can wind up with this great record. We could be 13-4, right? What are the likelihood of that happening? I think we still have to play San Francisco. I think we still have to play Miami. Of course, we still have to play Dallas twice. We got to play the Eagles this weekend. We got to play the Giants again, of course. So, what are the likelihood of the Commanders winning the rest of their games, especially after what has happened? Was transpired in the last bit. I mean, we have lost 4 of our last 5 games, and that is not good. Magic Johnson, he is he is saying it in the most PG way that he can possibly say it, and he's saying it in the most Captain Obvious way he can say it without putting too many emotions aside. He's just giving you the facts, but it's, some people kind of joked and said that it was like a Booger McFarlane type of, Captain Obvious statements that he's putting out. For those who don't know Booger McFarlane, maybe you haven't been watching football, but Booger kind of, when he was doing, was it Monday Night Football? It was either Monday Night Football or Thursday Night Football, would just state the most obvious things And not even in the playful John Madden way. It was just the most annoying way, right? And it's like, and so, and so Magic Johnson, he kind of puts these statements like, it's hard to win the game when you only score 7 points. But, some people would be like, yeah, thank you, Captain Obvious. But when you go back and you read that, it's like, that's actually pretty powerful, because that's one of your minority owners. Sorry, I am still sick, but I'm traveling on with this podcast. So one of your minority owners, who is going to be very vocal in how this team goes, and he's telling you he's not happy. He's not happy with how things are going. Josh Harris is not going to be that vocal guy, right? He's going to be the guy who ultimately makes the all of the ultimate decisions of the team. But he's not going to be the guy who's going to be going out here and saying a lot. That's why you got guys like Magic Johnson, who's going to do that for you. He's going to be kind of the spokesperson, right? So, Magic Johnson is telling you he's not happy when your team comes out, only puts 7 points on the board. And, to be fair, he also posts the same stuff with his other teams as well. So, talks about not being happy with his, Dodgers and whatnot. So, it's not just the Commanders. So, that being said, he's not going to stand for this. And I'm sure that our ownership has already gotten something in place. Now, that being said, is there going to be a mid-season firing? There are rumors going around right now that Ron Rivera is going to be the first coach to be fired mid-season. Is that going to be true? Is that going to be possible? Well, it's always possible. And you can say, well, he's going to have to really screw up really bad, because, Ron Rivera has done a lot for this team. But at the end of the day, you look at his records and you look at the overall improvement. Has there been improvement? Has this team taken a step forward every single year? And when you look at records, that's the ultimate measuring stick. Look at the team's record. Have they taken a step forward? And the answer is no. They have not taken a step forward since year one of the Ron Rivera regime. So does that warrant a mid-season firing? Well, I would say that another loss could possibly mean that, because you're looking at a 1-6 record since the start of the season. Excuse me. That's pretty bad. 1-6. And it was not against teams that were playoff bound teams. Only, 2 or 3 teams, if that, were teams that were playoff teams. You got the Bears, the Giants, teams like that you should have beat. And then you could point out, well, the Eagles, our team, is probably going to the Super Bowl this year. We almost beat them. We should have beat them, but you didn't. And you got another chance this weekend. All of that can change. You can save the season by beating the Eagles this weekend. That could be the turning point of the whole season. So I think a lot hinges on this weekend, which brings me back to the whole point of the stream. I can make it through without being so nasally. are we going to have a fire sale? Is there actually some fire to the smoke that we're seeing about trade rumors of Chase Young and Montez Sweat, your two best bookends on defense? And from what I'm hearing, some execs around the league say that, well, they're concerned about the performance and injury history of Chase Young, and that at best he might be able to fetch a fourth or fifth rounder, maybe, at very, very best a third rounder, but that's pushing it. And somewhere around the same with Montez Sweat, which surprises me. And I don't know. Part of that makes me think, well, of course, other execs around the league are going to try to minimize their worth to try to get them on a bargain deal. I mean, you do that when you shop for cars, right? But other than that, I think that I don't think that there's any truth to that. I don't think that we're going to blow anything up mid-season like that. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't trust this coaching staff to start giving up players, because if they're not going to be here next year, why would they do that? It goes against a statement that Ron Rivera had said when I had found. Now, this is assuming that the statement was true. I would have to go back and hear this with my own ears coming out of his lips. But a statement that Ron Rivera, was saying that it doesn't matter if he gets fired or not, that if the team goes and wins the Super Bowl next season with his players, he deserves that Super Bowl ring because it was basically the team that he built. So by that logic, you would not see this regime wanting to get rid of any of these players. They want these players on this team because their thought process is, hey, these are the players that we kept together, that we helped build. It's fine if you want to fire us, but, if you succeed with these players next year, then, that means that we deserve some credit for basically helping you guys build this team. Okay, I kind of see that, but at the same time, that also means that you admit that you were not a strong enough coach and your coaching staff was not strong enough to be able to coach this team and this talent the right way to get the best out of them. So there you go. And it still doesn't mean that the next regime doesn't get rid of a lot of these players either. So I don't know if I am buying the fact that this franchise is going to start getting rid of players left and right. As a matter of fact, I'm going to say that you're going to see Chase Young and Montez Sweat on this team the rest of the season. And honestly, I think there's a good chance you're going to see both of them on this team next season. Now, you may ask, how is that going to happen? Well, if they continue to play the way they played, Chase Young has played well. Folks, it may be kind of a quiet thing, but Chase Young has actually played really well this year. If they continue to play as well as they have, both deserve good contracts. Knowing that there would be some changes. You already have new ownership. There's going to be some changes in coaching. They may be willing to stick around to see what changes. Maybe they'll have an input on, who they would like to have as far as defensive coaching. If that's the case, I mean, who knows? I don't know how it's going to work. But I think that there could be a strong possibility that this franchise, a new front office, will try to keep both. Maybe that could possibly mean that we do jettison some players. Otherwise, that we would be like, I can't believe they're getting rid of these players on offense. So who knows? We'll wait and see, folks. Usually, the rule of thumb is whatever I'm telling you. Think that, look for the exact opposite because I am not a fortune teller. And a lot of times, I just go by my gut instinct, and my gut usually reacts better to pizza than it does, telling you exactly what's going to happen in the future. But overall, I think that this team has a good chance of keeping all of their players. I don't hear anything about any trades that's going to happen. I don't think that we're honestly going to make a move. Ron Rivera doesn't seem like he is willing to do anything possible to shake things up. He really looks like he is checked out at this point. I don't think that he's worried about building anything else in the future. I think at this point, he knows that he's done. So why make some major moves? He's just going to try to roll with what we have right now and, for better or worse, and see where the chips lie with that. So that's why you're seeing the rich get richer with the Eagles making moves, and other teams will probably make some moves. But you're not going to see the Commanders make any moves. You're not going to see them, unless that there's some very minor moves here and there. I don't think you're going to see them make a move. The only way I see it is if there's some major injury over the weekend, God forbid, and they have to pick somebody up, whether if it's quarterback or something like that. Otherwise, I think things are going to be uneventful. We're going to continue to roll with who we have. And, folks, you're looking at a team that is it's where they are. And this weekend is going to be a pivotal weekend for the team. They're either going to sink or swim. And I think if they beat the Eagles this weekend, and Brandon and I will talk about that, then you could see another little Mickey Mouse run by Ron Rivera, and this team may turn things around, make things interesting. Still don't think they make the playoffs. But if they lose, we could see some firings. And I think, honestly, you need to. Because I think this team needs to be proactive, and they need to start things early and get things ready. But I don't think we're going to see anything in terms of a major fire sale at this point. Not like you're seeing with some other teams. Don't see it happening because I don't think that's not Ron Rivera's style. He's just too proud of a man for that. He's not going because it's admitting defeat, and he's not willing to admit defeat at that point. All right, folks, it is past time for me actually to get on the road and get to my main job. But please like, share, subscribe to this channel. And honestly, that is it for this morning's stream. Brandon and I will be back in another video. We'll try to record this evening. And that is pretty much all I got, folks. So you guys have a wonderful, wonderful hump day. And I will see you in the next one.